האם זה באמת סגולה בדוקה? הסגולה ללמוד בזה?
Erev Tov, good evening, Dobro Viecher. We are in the Zera Shimshon on Parshas Tetzei. We're going to do Os Beis, section number 2. Before we begin, we're going to take a look at the first few psukim in our parsha of Tetzei. So this is Devarim, Perek Chaf Aleph, psukim Yud through Yud Gimel. Easy to find because they're right at the beginning of the parsha. Tetzei la milchama al oivecha. When you go out to war against your enemies, unisano Hashem Elokecha biyadecha, and Hashem gives you your enemy in your hands, you conquer your enemy, vishavisa shivyo, and you take captives. Next pasuk, v'ro'isa bashivyo eshes yifas toar, and you see among the captives a beautiful woman, v'chashakta va, and you desire her, v'lakachta lecha leisha, and you will take her for yourself to be a wife. In other words, you're allowed to take this captive woman to be your wife. But there's a process, as the psukim continue. V'havesa el toch beisecha, and you will bring her to your house. V'gilcha es rosha, and she will shave her head. Ve'asisa es tziparneha, and she will do her nails. What that means is the subject of the piece in the Zera Shimshon. What does it mean she will do her nails? We'll get to that. Ve'heisira es simlas shivya me'aleha, and she will remove her captive garment from upon herself. The captive women would wear their finery, their nice clothing, in order to hope that the conquering army wouldn't kill them. So they were wearing nice clothing. She has to remove that fancy clothing. V'yoshva b'veisecha, and she will dwell in your home. Uvasa es aviha v'es ima yerech yamim, and she will cry and mourn for her mother and father for 30 days. V'achar kein tavo eleha, and afterwards you can come to her v'alta and be intimate with her, v'hayisa lecha leisha, and then she can be for you as a wife. So that's the beginning of the very famous section called dealing with the Eshes Yifas Toar, the captive, the beautiful captive woman, and it has its own many questions. And how is this possible? Why was it allowed? But those are not for us tonight. For us, the Zera Shimshon deals with a very, very basic question. What did it mean to say she does her nails? Let's get right into the Zera Shimshon. Perek Daled di Yevamos Daf Mem Ches, and the 4th chapter of the Talmudic tractate of Yevamos, page 48. Tanu Rabbanon, this is the beginning of a quote from the Gemara. Our rabbis taught, V'gilcha es rosha v'chule, and she will shave her head and she will do her nails. That's our pasuk. Rabbi Eliezer says, what does it mean to do her nails? Takotz, she will cut her nails. Rabbi Akiva, tagdil. Rabbi Akiva says she will let her nails grow. So there is a machlokes between these two great Tanoim, these two great scholars of the Mishnah, of the Mishnaic period. Rabbi Eliezer believed that when the Torah said she should do her nails, it meant to cut her nails. And Rabbi Akiva argued and said, no, when the Torah said to do her nails, it meant she should let her nails grow. Omar Rabbi Eliezer said, Nemra asiya barosh. The Torah tells us she should do something to her head. V'namra asiya batzi parnaim. And the Torah tells us she should do something to her nails. Ma lehalon ha'avara. Just like over there regarding her head, it meant to remove her hair, because the Torah said to shave her head. Hachanami ha'avara. So too over here regarding her nails, it means to remove her nails. So that's Rabbi Eliezer's reasoning. She removes her hair by shaving her head, and she removes her nails. So that's why Rabbi Eliezer felt the Torah was telling her to cut her nails. Rabbi Akiva Omer, however, Rabbi Akiva says, Nemra asiya barosh. The Torah says she should do something to her head. V'nemra asiya batziparnayim, and the Torah says she should do something to her nails. Male halon nivul. Just like over there regarding her head, she does something that makes her look repulsive or disgusting. To shave her head is obviously not attractive, so she's making herself look unattractive. Afkan nivul. So too regarding her nails, she must do something that makes herself look less attractive, so she lets them grow. Cutting the nails makes her look better, makes her look more kempt. Letting her nails grow makes her look unkempt, makes her look unattractive. We have to put aside for right now the whole question of the fact that women nowadays would say letting the nails grow long makes a woman look more attractive. That's not our issue. So Rabbi Akiva's viewpoint was letting her nails grow and not trimming them would make her look less attractive. The Gemara continues. Uraya ledivrei Rabbi Eliezer. The Gemara brings a proof to Rabbi Eliezer's view that the Torah wanted this captive woman to cut her nails from a pasuk in Shmuel Beis. Mephibosheth ben Shaul, Mephibosheth the son of Shaul, v'chulei. We'll talk about what this is referring to in a moment. V'lo asa ragla, v'lo asa sefamo. He hadn't made his feet and he hadn't made his mustache. My asiya, what did the pasuk mean when it said that Mephibosheth, the son of Shaul, hadn't done his feet and hadn't done his nails? Ha'avara. It means he hadn't removed his hair. He hadn't trimmed his hair around his, feet came first. He hadn't trimmed his toenails, and he hadn't trimmed his the hair around his mustache. Ad kan, until here is a quote from the Gemara in Yevamos. So let's talk about quickly this little incident with Mephibosheth, the son of Shaul. The Navi there in Sefer Shmuel Beis is referring to the time when Avshalom, David HaMelech's son, revolted against his father. And the revolt was so effective that David had to leave Yerushalayim and flee for his life with some of his closest followers. And when ultimately Avshalom was killed, so David returned. And when he returned, Mephibosheth, the son of Shaul, who had in the past, Shaul's family had in the past had been the enemies of David, but Mephibosheth wanted to show his loyalty, and he came to present himself in front of David, and he said, "My king, look, I haven't groomed myself since you had to flee. I haven't trimmed my beard. I haven't cut my nails. I haven't bathed." He wanted to show David that he had taken upon himself these acts of mourning out of sadness and distress over what David HaMelech was going through. And so clearly when the Navi uses the word asiya, v'lo asa ragla, v'lo asa sefamo, he hadn't done his feet and he hadn't done his beard, it clearly means he hadn't trimmed them. And so, therefore, the Gemara says that supports Rabbi Eliezer's opinion that when it says she should do her nails, it must mean that doing means to trim them, to cut them. And that's Rabbi Eliezer's view. Of course, Rabbi Akiva says the opposite, she should let them grow. Continuing in the Zera Shimshon. Uperish Rashi Zichrona Livracha. Rashi explains tukots, on the word tukots in the Gemara, when Rabbi Eliezer says she should cut atzi parnayim koi. Rashi says this is referring to the nails. Ve'afal gav delav nivulhu, and even though this is not something disgusting, for the woman to cut her nails is not considered disgusting, gezeras hakosav hi, it is a decree of the Torah that she should do this. Ad kan Lashono, until here is a quote from Rashi on the Gemara in Maseches Yevamos. So Rashi tells us that when Rabbi Eliezer says tukots, she should cut, he's referring to her nails, and that means that she should cut her nails, even though we would not think that makes her unattractive. that's what she should do because that's what the Torah says she should do. Next paragraph. Hule alma makshim al perush Rashi. The entire world asks on Rashi's explanation, atziparnayim koi, when Rashi says the words that Rabbi Eliezer is referring to her cutting her nails, the ma bo lahodienu. What is Rashi coming to make known to us? What is Rashi telling us that we didn't already know? The question is that everyone is bothered by, in the words of the Zera Shimshon. The question is, if you look at the Gemara, clearly Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva are talking about the captive woman's nails. That is exactly the point of their disagreement. And when Rabbi Eliezer says takots, meaning she should cut, he's referring to her nails. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing else he could be that the Gemara could be referring to. And Rabbi Akiva says, Tagdil, let them grow. He's referring to the woman's nails. So clearly, that's what Rabbi Eliezer is talking about. Why did Rashi feel the need to come and say, when Rabbi Eliezer said the word takot, she should cut, he was referring to the woman's nails. There's no lack of clarity about that. It's absolutely crystal clear in the Gemara that that's what Rabbi Eliezer was referring to. So why did Rashi seem to say that Rabbi Eliezer was referring to the woman's nails? So we're going to see as we move along in the piece that the Zera Shimshon's going to say that is not what Rashi meant. Rashi did not mean to make the obvious, completely unnecessary statement that Rabbi Eliezer was referring to the woman cutting her nails, but rather he was saying something much more important and, in fact, necessary in order to understand his viewpoint. Continuing, next paragraph. V'yesh lomar, and we can say, the kavanos Rashi l'soretz. Rashi's intention was to answer a problem. The bishlama l'Rebbe Akiva nicha. According to Rabbi Akiva's viewpoint that she should let her nails grow out longer, things make sense. The shane kro b'dibure, that the Torah changed its wording because of the gilcha es rosha, and regarding her head, it said she should shave her head, but regarding her nails, it said she should do her nails. So it used a different word regarding her head than it used regarding her nails. According to Rabbi Akiva, that makes sense. Lefi shehem mishunim b'maseh mizeh. Because according to Rabbi Akiva's viewpoint, she's supposed to do different things with her head than she does with her nails. With her head, she's shaving off her hair. With her nails, she's not cutting them at all. She's letting them grow. She's refraining from cutting her nails. So because she's doing different things, it makes sense that the pasuk would use different verbs. It used the word v'gilcha, to shave regarding her head or hair, and it used v'asasa, she should do or make her nails, as a way of saying, let them grow out. That makes perfect sense. Ela Rabbi Eliezer kosher. But Rashi was bothered by a problem on Rabbi Eliezer's viewpoint. De'im kedivarav, because if we think his view is correct, that she should shave her head and cut her nails, hayelo lomar, then the pasuk should have said, ve'osasas rosha, ve'osasas tziparneha. She should do her head and do her nails. If in both cases she's supposed to shave off her head, cut her hair, and cut her nails, then the Torah should have used the same words. And it should have said, do her head, or make her head and do her nails, or make her nails, meaning cut the hair and cut the nails. It shouldn't have changed the verbs. Continuing top of the left column. V'tzarich lomar, and we need to say, the ilu kosav hachi, if the Torah had in fact written, and she should shave her head, and if the Torah had in fact written, and she should do her head, and she should do her nails, hayamokum litos vilomar, then that would have opened up the door, would have given us a chance to make a mistake and say, v'osasas tziparneha, when it says she should do her nails, tagdil. It means she should let them grow. which is obviously not Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. That's Rabbi Akiva's opinion. And we would make that mistake. We might make that mistake. Mikoach hasvora, from the power, from the strength of reasoning, of logic, shera'inu shehichmir aleha hakosav k'dei nenavla. We see that the Torah is trying to make her unattractive. Okay, we see that the Torah is trying to make her unattractive. That's the point of these things that she's doing. She's shaving her head. She's taking off her beautiful clothing. She's crying about her lost family. So these things are making her unattractive. If in fact the Torah's intention was that she should cut her nails and not let them grow, it would have said, and she should do her head and her nails, kulhu kechad, as one thing. It wouldn't need to say she should do her head and she should do her nails. It wouldn't repeat the verb. It wouldn't need to repeat the verb. It should just said, and she should do her head and her nails. All as one statement, all as one thing. Umidelo arvinhu, and from the fact that it doesn't combine the two things as one, hayinu omrim, we would have said, or we might have said, sheva osisa es rosha, when it says she should do her head, kid'ise, it means she should do what's appropriate for her head, namely to shave her head. V'hai kid'ise, and this other thing, her nails, she should do what's appropriate, kid'ei lenavla, to make herself less attractive, which would mean to let them grow. So the Zera Shimshon here is providing us an insight into Rashi, something that must have been bothering Rashi on the Gemara, because Rashi thought to himself that according to Rabbi Eliezer's viewpoint, the Torah would have had an opportunity to say she should do her head and her nails, which would be good for Rabbi Akiva, but problematic for Rabbi Eliezer if the Torah said that. And so the paragraph went on to explain why that would be not useful for Rabbi Eliezer. Next paragraph. Koshe, but there's still a problem. Lama be'emes lo kosav v'osasas rosha v'yasiparneha. Why did the Torah, in fact, not combine the two and say she should do her head and she should do her nails, kulo kechada, all as one thing? Ladas Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rabbi Eliezer's viewpoint, the kulhu dinon behavara uketzitza, because according to Rabbi Eliezer, it's all talking about doing the same thing. It's talking about cutting the nails and cutting the head. So that's what it could say. The Torah, in fact, could have said she should do her head and she should do her nails, but it didn't say that. Why didn't it say that when, according to Rabbi Eliezer, she's doing the same type of activity for her hair, namely cutting it off, as she's doing on her nails, namely cutting her nails? Why didn't the Torah, in fact, say that? Next paragraph, v'yesh lomar, and we can say dimi manafshach. No matter how you look at this, you're always going to have two things that appear to contradict themselves. Bein ladas Rabbi Eliezer, bein ladas Rabbi Akiva. Whether or not it's from the perspective of Rabbi Eliezer or the perspective of Rabbi Akiva. Either way, there's going to be a contradiction. If we explain that she's going to let her nails grow, in order that everything she's doing is making herself less attractive. So she's cutting her hair, that makes her less attractive, and she's letting her hair grow, that makes her less attractive. If that's what we say, if so, then if the Torah had used the term she should do regarding both things, then legabe harosh mashma giluach uketzitza. Regarding her hair, it is teaching us that she should shave her head and cut her hair. Ulegabe tetziparnayim, but regarding her nails, gidul, it means she's letting her nails grow. So that's an internal contradiction. in the meaning of the word v'asasa. So from Rabbi Akiva's perspective, and again, the Zera Shimshon here is taking both, looking at this issue from both Rabbi Akiva's perspective and Rabbi Eliezer's perspective. So from Rabbi Akiva's perspective, to use the same verb v'asasa regarding her hair and her nails would not make sense because it wouldn't mean the same thing. V'im nefaresh v'asasa lashon ketzitza v'hasara, and if we explain the word doing her nails in her head means cutting and removing, bein legabe haroshu, bein legabe artziparnayim, whether or not it's talking about her hair and whether or not it's talking about her nails, halo barosh mashma nivul, would it not be that regarding the head, what she's doing is making herself less attractive, uvartziparnayim eino nivul, but regarding her nails, it's not making herself look less attractive to cut her nails? That doesn't make her less attractive. Elanoid, it actually looks better. Umishum hachi, continuing to the next page on the right, kosav v'gilcha barosh ve'osasa b'tziparnayim. The Torah chose to use different verbs. It uses the verb gilcha, to shave regarding her head, ve'osasa, and to do or to make regarding her nails. So everything the Zera Shimshon explained to us in the last couple of paragraphs was all an attempt to explain Rashi's thought process on the Gemara, specifically in terms of Rabbi Eliezer's opinion, and more specifically, why didn't, according to Rabbi Eliezer, why didn't the Torah say either ve'asasa es rosha ve'asasa es tziparnea, she should do her head and do her nails, since according to Rabbi Eliezer, she's shaving both things. She's shaving her hair and she's cutting her nails. Why didn't it say that? Or combine the two and say, ve'asasa es rosha ve'tziparneha, do her head and her nails. You could also have said that and combine both things into one phrase. Either way, for Rabbi Eliezer, that would work because the two things are the head and the nails are both being cut. The hair is being cut and the nails are being cut. So the fact that the Torah didn't say that presents a problem for Rabbi Eliezer that Rashi was thinking about and focused on trying to understand why it couldn't have said that. And that's what he explained. Vizehu, next paragraph, Vizehu sheperish Rashi. And this is what Rashi was explaining on the Gemara. Takots, when it says she should cut, not referring to Rabbi Eliezer's opinion in the Gemara where we know that he's talking about her nails, but rather when the Torah tells us that she should cut her nails, atziparnayim koi, it's referring to her nails. Shahahechreach shel Rabbi Eliezer, what Rashi's trying to say is the thing that compelled Rabbi Eliezer to his opinion that the nails must be cut. Hainu lefi shahatorah rotzasa lehaniach ve'osasa behade tziparnayim dafka. It's because the Torah clearly only wanted to use the word ve'osasa regarding the nails. It did not wish to use the word ve'osasa also regarding her hair. The Torah clearly did not want to do that. It wanted to use different verbs for the hair and the nails. So cutting the nails, the Torah chose to use its own verb of ve'osasa, shehu hatzivoy v'hapoal shel haketzitza, which is the command and the action of cutting the nails. It's a reference to those things. La'ashma'inon chidusha, and this is teaching us a chidush, a novel idea. The afal gav de lav nivul, that even though it doesn't make her less attractive when she cuts her nails, gezeras hakosav he. It's a decree of the Torah that she should do so, even though our own logic would dictate, no, she should let her nails grow. That will make her less attractive over time. Letting her nails look untrimmed and unkempt and not taken care of, that will make her look less attractive. Cutting her nails, it doesn't have the same negative effect. Nonetheless, the Torah is telling us v'osisa es tzipor neha. She should do her nails, meaning don't leave anything up to the possible mistake and think she should let her nails grow. Osisa means she should do them, meaning she should cut them the same exact way the word is used in Navi regarding Mephibosheth and Shmuel Beis, say for Shmuel Beis, and that's what the Torah is teaching us the woman should do. So the Zera Shimshon has given us kind of a deep dive on a very specific point, and that is, what does the Torah mean right at the beginning of our parsha regarding the Eishes Yafas Toar, the captive woman, that she should do her nails? Answer, it's a machlokus between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. Does she cut her nails or does she let them grow? And here Zera Shimshon has explained Rabbi Eliezer's viewpoint, and also Rashi's comment, Rashi's somewhat seemingly unnecessary comment on Rabbi Eliezer's viewpoint in the Gemara, now showing us that actually Rashi's comment was very well taken and very necessary. Yasher koach for joining in the learning in the Zera Shimshon this week, and God willing, Be'ezus Hashem, we'll join together again next week to learn the Zera Shimshon on the parsha.